I am Josh Burns.
I am Andrew Rourke, and this is Unshaken Truth, where we will examine the causes and impacts of wrongful convictions resulting from junk science like the shaken baby syndrome hypothesis and explore ways to end such miscarriages of justice.
Why us? Because we were wrongfully convicted of child abuse based on the now debunked shaken baby syndrome hypothesis, or SBS. We both spent years pursuing justice before finally being exonerated in 2024. In both of our cases, doctors ignored underlying medical causes for the children's condition and rushed to judgment based on flawed pseudoscience that has now led to countless wrongful convictions and shattered families' lives.
By digging into causes of junk science, wrongful convictions, and educating people about the problem, we can help make the criminal justice system accountable for the misuse of flawed evidence to put innocent people behind bars.
Around the same time we were exonerated in 2024, we learned about Robert Robertson, who was then facing imminent execution in Texas in a shaken baby syndrome case, despite a mountain of evidence proving that he, too, was an innocent man.
Robert's case horrified me. The idea that someone could be executed in a situation where there was actually no crime based on the exact same junk science of shaken baby that led to my wrongful conviction really shook me. His case is so similar to mine, except even worse. His daughter died. I sat there and I realized that had the child in my case died, I would be sitting right next to Robert on death row.
In our first season, Unshaken Truth will highlight Robert's case and feature guests who have been involved in the ongoing work to save his life. We want you to have a little background on Robert and his case before we take you to the episode. Robert is a person with autism spectrum disorder, but he was diagnosed only after his wrongful conviction.
Robert was convicted and sentenced to death after his toddler daughter, Nikki, who had been chronically ill her whole life, died in 2002.
There are lots of medical records that show what really caused Nikki's death. She was suffering from severe viral and bacterial pneumonia that had progressed to sepsis and a bleeding disorder. Nikki's respiratory symptoms were made worse by dangerous medications that should have never been prescribed to someone her age or in her condition. None of this was considered in Robert's case. Instead, hospital staff and law enforcement rushed to judgment, and he was convicted and sentenced to death based on the junk science shaken baby syndrome theory.
Parallels between Robert's case and mine are striking. Robert's execution was stayed in October of 2025 to allow an investigation of whether those similarities warrant relief in his case, just as I was finally exonerated.
The court will be considering that question soon, but we want to dig into these issues from our perspective and explore the unshaken truth about junk science wrongful convictions. This is Josh Burns. I'm here with my co-host Andrew Rourke on Unshaken Truth, and today we are talking to Audrey Edmunds. Audrey was sentenced to an 18-year prison sentence for a crime that never happened. Thankfully, after serving 11 years, she was exonerated and declared innocent. Audrey, thank you so much for being with us here today and for being willing to tell your story. As Andrew and I, as exonerees, we just appreciate you so much and your courage to come on here and talk with us today.
Thank you both for doing this. Thank you to the listeners for bringing awareness to my wrongful conviction, every wrongful conviction. Thank you very much.
So can you take us back to the moment you first realized you were being accused of harming a child in your care? What went through your mind when something so unthinkable became your reality?
I was shocked. I was devastated. I couldn't believe what was happening. And then when they used the term shaken baby syndrome, I'd never even heard of it. I was
Right.
very green with the legal system. I thought everything I had done was true and right. And I couldn't believe what was going on at that time. I was just devastated. I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And it was very, very hard. It is still hard. It's amazing to think that they can put together a case on junk science and not investigate it more thoroughly.
You know, we just had the great Keith Finley on our podcast for 2 episodes, and boy, I'm just so thankful that Keith and other lawyers like him in innocence groups have been able to stand in the gap for folks like us. And
Very, very thankful. And more
yeah,
doctors and pathologists, coroners, just more and more, even way back to when this was brought together. I mean, Dr. Gutkelch put it together on opinion 40
right,
years ago. And he has even said many years ago, over 20 years ago, everything about SBS is BS. And he knows.
right,
And
exactly,
so for people to deny that, they have a very naive perspective.
absolutely. Well, do you remember listening to testimony during your trial that you knew was false? Did the prosecutor distort facts to try to make you seem like a person who would harm a child? And if so, how did that make you feel having to sit quietly while this happened? I know had to deal with that too, but for our listeners, did you experience that in court?
I did, and I was devastated. They said that I shook her. They said I banged her head on a wall. None of that was true. I found a baby choking and tried to help her and called 911 and gave her CPR. And how juries can be so ignorant to know that if those things happen, there'd be more external and internal damage, and none of that was there. But they
Right.
want to create a monster rather than dealing with the truth.
Yeah, that's so
Mhm.
hard. It's
It's just devastating. And then when they say
yeah,
it's equivalent to a fall from a 2-story building, anybody with common sense can know that anybody falling from a 2-story building would have major damage to their body, which did not exist at all in my case.
yeah, and that's what we see in so many of these cases
Mhm.
is that there are no external injuries, like the biomechanical science and the biomechanical engineering, right? The guys that make our car seats for our children safe and our seat belts safe, they're looking at all this and they're saying there's just no way there wouldn't be neck fractures and rib injuries and all these other things that aren't there.
Whiplash,
Yeah, all
axonal
that.
injury, and none of that was in these
Mhm.
cases, and it's
Yeah,
sad. It's just very sad they can get away with it, and that jurors have to remember just because somebody is charged, they haven't always done everything correctly, as we
right.
see in more and more wrongful convictions of many different matters.
Well, I can just tell you from my own trial, having to sit there and listen to that was so excruciating.
Oh
But
my
then,
god.
and then it's like you have to just trust that your lawyer is there to defend you, and you have to be silent, and your family members are there, and everybody wants to just shout from the rooftops like this is not true, and it's like, but you just have to sit there and
Mhm.
take it.
Yes,
It's
you
just
do. That is so
so
hard.
wrong.
So,
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
hard. I was never prepared, and there's no way to be prepared even to this day at some of the things that I'd hear them say or words that they try to put me into my mouth during
mm,
cross-examination. And I'm like, no, I did not say that. Or
right,
Right.
no, that did not happen.
Right.
And it's very devastating.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Oh,
Yeah. I
turn it
remember
down.
having to sit there and bite my tongue
Yeah.
a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you kept thinking, well, this will be okay because I'm telling the truth and everything will get better. And when a verdict comes down like that, we know it's just so heart-wrenching.
Mm,
Yeah. Well, this next question's gonna be a little hard for me, as I'm sure it is for you.
Yes.
So I almost spent 13 years in. So,
mm.
you spent 11 years in prison for a crime that never occurred.
Mhm.
Can you describe? Excuse me.
It's hard. It is so
Yeah.
Yeah.
hard.
Yep.
Can you
Mm-mm.
describe what it felt like to wake up every single day behind bars? knowing you were innocent.
It was so devastating. It was so hard to be in such a horrible place, and I kept trying to keep my mind out of it the best that I could
Yeah.
and make my life as positive as I could in such a terrible situation. And being away from my children was just heart-wrenching.
Mm.
To this day, there's no way I can prepare myself to be in a prison that I was in. There's just
Right.
nowhere. It is not a normal lifestyle for me at all. It's a very, very rigid environment that you don't get used to. You tolerate, you survive the best you can. And it's not always easy. Some days it's so, so draining.
So, how did being separated from your own children affect you emotionally and psychologically? What were those moments of missing milestones like birthdays and everyday life like?
It still hurts. I feel so bad that they had to be raised like that.
Mm-hmm.
My youngest daughter it was 2 days after her first birthday when I went in. My oldest daughter was in kindergarten. The grace that I had was for the first 6+ years. I saw them almost every weekend. I saw them during holidays and when they had time off from school. That helped tremendously. I had lots of pictures sent from people, lots and lots of letters from family and friends every week, which helped. Our visits helped, but it still crushes my heart that they had to endure what they did too. There's
Yeah.
just no way. it- y- I can't make up for that time, but I hurt. I just hurt for them and for me.
Yeah.
They kept
Yeah.
me going.
Mm-hmm.
Their joy, their understanding, their knowing that I was innocent. Just you had to fight. You had to fight, 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 and not let it
Yeah.
crush you. But it was sure hard.
Yeah. And,
Mhm.
I think that's part of the fallout of and the trauma that happens to us that have been falsely accused. It's not just us. It's what they do to our family. It's the time that gets stolen from the entire family,
Mhm.
not just the
Mhm.
person serving time, but the entire family gets put through the ringer. And
Yeah.
there's no amount of money or anything that fixes those things. It's kind of
No.
like they just sort of give you your life back in pieces and say, "Oops, our bad,"
Mhm.
if they even say that, right? It's like, yeah,
Yeah. There.
yeah,
There. It's hard, and I knew I couldn't make up for lost time. And I was grateful for all the communication and visits that we did have, but as I said, it just hurt my heart. Their mom wasn't there for all the things that everybody else's mom is for at school.
right,
So, and mom's just not there to take care of them when they're sick or take them shopping or let them have sleepovers. That was hard.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Well, we understand. Yeah, that's
Yes, you do. You do,
yeah,
and the hurt fades, but it never
hmm
goes away.
right.
Yeah. So I left behind a
Mhm.
3-year-old.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And how long were
yeah,
you in?
almost 13 years.
Oh gosh. That's
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
crime.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just
yeah,
I'll have
Thank
to
you.
look into that, but I
Yeah.
am sorry for anybody that has to go through that. And thankfully, more and more courts are now not allowing this or making more scientific and medical evidence that's been proven
Right.
looked into before they're charging anyone. And they don't even call it shaken baby anymore. Now they call it abusive head trauma. And
Right.
it's, in my opinion, it's all because they can't define it.
Mm-hmm.
We can
mm,
define exactly scientifically and medically what does and does not happen. And all the other um, factors that mimic abuse that are not abuse. And
mhm,
these
Right.
things need to be addressed in the court system for anybody. I don't want people to abuse children and get away with it.
Right. Right.
Those of us that are innocent
Right.
victims,
We're not
it's that.
saying it doesn't happen. I mean,
yeah,
we know it happens.
Yes,
It's
and
yeah,
just
unfortunately, but it doesn't in a lot of cases. So
right.
yeah,
I'm above and beyond thankful. That's what helped keep me going too, is all the new medical evidence that just came about so well.
Mhm.
And it still is. But for doctors that don't want to look into it, that's scary. Nobody
Mm.
wants to
Right.
be diagnosed from a doctor that hasn't studied the science and the medical factors of any case.
Sure.
So, what was the hardest part of maintaining your identity and sense of self when the world and the legal system had labeled you as something you weren't?
You have to stay strong in knowing the truth, and you have to stay with people that believe in you, that know you, that aren't gonna just frame you because of something on TV or in the newspaper. Um, it's hard being with a lot of people in prison that are there for what they're supposed to be there for. So they
Right.
think everybody's guilty, but it's not their place to judge. So that's
Mhm.
why it's best, I found, to stay to myself. I found a
Yeah.
few nice people that I could talk to and associate with. Otherwise, you have to stay by yourself a lot. And
Yeah.
that's hard, but
Yep.
it's all in the best interest of your mind and your emotions too.
Well, one of the things that Andrew and I have talked about when we discuss our cases and stuff too is when you go through something like this, you find out who your friends are. You find
You
out
do.
who your who your family even is, right?
I am blessed abundantly still with people once in a while that will reach out to me because they know somebody who knows me, knows my case, and they're just very generous. And I'm very,
Mm.
very, very grateful for that. And yes, for people that can't stick with you, well, that's life.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah.
It's not easy. My divorce was not easy. That was really hard.
Mhm.
Yeah. I can't even imagine.
Mm.
Yeah. I was really blessed. My wife is amazing. She stuck by me through all of this and just
Bless her heart. I hope
yeah,
it makes
just an
you
amazing
stronger.
woman. Yeah,
Mhm.
she's just incredible. I mean, but yeah, but I did have other family members that I lost because of it and that are still,
Mm.
that you just don't get back from this
No,
stuff. And it's,
no.
yeah,
I
yep,
I have some people in a relationship that are troubled with my past, and I have to keep my heart soft, but I don't have to prove myself either.
that's right. That's right. You
Mhm.
That's
don't.
right.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. The state declared you innocent. And when they do that, they acknowledged a mistake was made. But some folks just,
Right.
you
Well,
know,
I don't
yeah,
know about your case, but I was so blessed with all the medical experts, including the coroner that even said it was an error. So
right.
they
Wow.
know what they're talking about. They have studied, know all the medical evidence. And that's
Yeah,
the problem in my case is the medical evidence was ignored and they just rushed to judgment with an old junk science triad.
right.
Yep.
Yep.
Mhm.
They continue to even try it today. It's amazing that they still try the same old things. But like you said, it's not as easy for them as it was back when your case was tried
Yeah.
in Andrew's case and even my case,
Mhm. Yes.
thankfully it's getting harder for them and,
Which it should, because it's very sad, the narrow minds that don't wanna see the truth
yeah,
and look at
Yeah.
all of the factors. I mean, I've said for years, nobody should wanna go to a doctor that hasn't updated their medical knowledge for 5 years, let alone 25 years.
Mm.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, that's another hard. What kept you going during the darkest moments in prison? Were there times where you felt like giving up? And if so, what pulled you back?
Mm, my faith wouldn't let me give up. I was very, very blessed to always have medical or and legal representation. As I have met many, many exonerees over the years, some of these people sit for 20 plus years just calling out for help. And I call it the
Yeah.
silent scream for them because they want assistance because they know they're innocent and
Right.
they need somebody to help. So, one of the things that really helped me was my faith. Secondly, was all the new medical evidence and the legal expertise that I had that just continued to fight for me. My children, I was not going to give up for them. I knew they needed their mom home with them, and I would not give up. But yes, some days was very, very hard. You just wanted to lay in bed with a pillow over your head and cry for hours.
Audrey, how did other inmates and prison staff treat you once they learned that you were what you were convicted of? What was it like carrying that particular
Um,
label in that environment for you?
I think a lot of not many remarks came, but
Mm-hmm.
the case was all over the news, so they know what you're in there for. And
Right.
when they're innocent, they want to make everybody innocent. And there again, I talk to the people that know what they're talking about, and I don't have to prove myself to them. So
Yeah.
I did my best to just ignore it. Like I said, stay to myself and not share details with others because they're not attorneys. They're not going to do anything for you.
Right.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
they have no place to judge.
So, what was the emotional experience of fighting for your freedom year after year, facing setback after setback in this legal system?
Those setbacks are so hard. It still just aggravates me to just ignorance of medical facts, of the fact that it wasn't
Yeah.
first-degree reckless homicide. The third element of first-degree reckless homicide is show no remorse, and that's the last
Right.
thing I did. It was not premeditated. It was just sad that even though the medical factors is what we emphasized on, it was still those other factors, and it was ignored. The judicial system for years ignored it, and that is
Right.
so devastating. The setbacks were just horrible. They weren't doing their job.
Right.
It was like a political decision, not a righteous decision,
Mm-hmm.
and that was devastating. It is still devastating.
Mm.
My attorneys, they just fought and fought, and they were just as heartbroken and crushed and frustrated as I was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They were doing
Yeah.
the right thing, and the judicial system was ignoring it.
Yeah, because these cases are all based on emotion, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And when
Yes.
there's a child that's hurt or dead, you know,
Yep.
it doesn't matter
Oh,
what the medical evidence says.
yes. And
If
Yeah.
they don't
my heart is
understand it.
always sad for the loss of Natalie, but not not to be blamed for it is
Right.
not okay.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Andrew and I, we've spoken to many guests about, how difficult that emotional argument is to overcome in our court system because, as you know, in your own trial, you have to come up against that with science and facts, and that
Mhm.
tends to put the jury to sleep.
It does.
Hearing complex medical testimony
Right.
and all that stuff,
And that's
that makes it
something
truly difficult.
it does, and that's something I said even that at the time of my trial, when the prosecution medical people and the defense medical experts couldn't agree, then how can 12 untrained medical people agree?
Can you describe the moment when you were finally exonerated? Was it a relief and a joy that you'd imagined? We know that it can be a little bit more complicated than that too. How did that make you feel to finally have that recognition?
The day I was exonerated was my oldest daughter's 17th birthday.
Oh wow.
Yes, I got out in February and I had this hearing on July 11th of 2008. I had not told my children that I was doing it via video. And my oldest daughter was at a soccer meet, and my youngest daughter was with her cousins from out of town. And I was at my mom's in Hudson, and I was doing it like we are now. And I was so excited. I ran across the street and I said, Mommy's finally free. Mommy's free. And the kids were laughing and they were clapping and they were like, run around the park, Aunt Audrey, run around the park, Mommy. Tell everybody how happy you are. It was such a relief because getting out knowing of the possibilities of a trial. I mean, I knew my medical factors were correct and it proved my innocence, but you just never know when it gets back into the judicial system what might happen. So I
Yeah.
was very, very thankful and very relieved. And when I told my other daughters too, they were just elated.
Yeah.
So, what has reentry into the world been like after losing 11 years of your life? I mean, how do you rebuild when so much has been stolen from you?
You just have to move forward and not let it destroy you. I didn't have a house to live in. I was very gracious to have a friend let me stay with her for quite a
Mhm.
while. Then I rented from places, and it was at a time when the economy was really in a recession. So
Right.
I started working at a job that I had no idea how to work retail, but I needed a job. I needed money. I needed insurance. And I just kept persevering. And now, for the last almost 10 years, I've had a very good job as a corporate administrative assistant for a company that's been wonderful. But I'm still making up for lost time with no
Right.
compensation, and it's tough.
Oh,
Mhm. It is.
yeah.
I just have to keep plugging along, but,
Right.
um, I knew I was gonna have to work, and I knew I was gonna have to be self-sufficient,
Mhm.
and that's what I've done, and that's one of the biggest things. People out on parole get all kinds of assistance and exonerees that get
Yeah.
no compensation yet. You just have to keep moving on and
Right.
try to pull your life back together.
I was out for almost 12 years before I got exonerated, so I
Oh,
totally understand that,
yeah,
waiting
it's
in
different.
limbo, and so
Yeah.
It is wonderful to go
and it
to
was good to
sleep.
have friends. I had friends that, like you had helped me out for a place to
Yeah,
stay, you gave me a
yeah,
job, so
for sure,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's good.
Yeah.
We also, after going through this nightmare personally, for you and for us, and now knowing that Robert Robertson sits on death row, accused of the same thing that all of us were, shaken baby syndrome. How does that make you feel? What message do you have for those in power who have the ability to make sure that Robert gets the same opportunity that the three of us here today had?
I want those in authority to please seriously look at the new medical evidence that proves he did not shake this baby. He has a little bit of a handicap,
Yeah.
and take that into consideration, please. But look at the facts. The facts cannot be changed. These doctors that have worked on his case that are showing what did and did not happen are honest, thorough people. They're not looking for something to do. They know the fact, and he needs to be released from prison very soon. And this should definitely not be a case where he could be put to death. That is totally wrong.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
My heart just cries for him. I just cannot even imagine the emotional challenge that he has. So
Yeah.
thank you for
No
everybody
doubt.
for supporting him and continuing to support him. And I was beyond thankful when his execution was delayed, and hope that it will be stopped very, very soon. It is
Yeah.
We
wrong,
do
and
too.
it can't be done. Please.
Yeah.
So, what do you want people to understand about the human cost of wrongful convictions, particularly in the shaken baby syndrome cases?
As I said earlier, with shaken baby cases, there is so much new medical and scientific evidence. There is so much that mimics abuse that
Mhm.
is not abuse. In my case, one of the doctors showed how a baby's body would shut down had it been abused versus how it would shut down if it was choking.
Mhm.
And he totally proved that there was a choking situation in my baby's care, not anything that related to abuse. And people need to look at this and know the facts
Yeah.
and know that there's
Mhm.
just way too much junk science. Nobody wants to go through this. I don't want anybody to go through this. It's sad when any baby or child dies, but know the facts and know the truth and know that these are doctors and experts that have studied this very, very thoroughly. They're not just looking for something to do.
Right.
Medical technology, medical education grows and grows all the time. And it has to be considered in any case, especially in these.
Audrey, I wanted to share with you that when I was going through this horrific trial in my life, my mom read your book, and it brought so much hope to my family and my mom. I remember, I'm going through this whirlwind. She says, "Have you heard of Audrey Edmunds?" And she, so I learned who you were while I was going through my nightmare. And my mom said, these cases, the truth is coming out. And, I know Andrew's wife, Kelly, read your book as well. So you have touched a lot of people's lives, in your experience, and given people that are going through just the worst storm in their life. You've given people so much hope and encouragement. So I just want to thank you personally for my own family for that. I learned who you were when all that happened with me, and I knew that, okay, there's hope here. And I just thank you for having the courage to do all that, to write your book, and to speak about your case, because we know it's not a fun topic to relive. But as we all sit here and talk about this right now, there are parents going through it. There are caregivers that are in the midst of this. And I know, because I hear from them. They reach out to us, on our social media pages and stuff. And people just really appreciate hearing these stories, because they need to know that there's hope on the other side of these things. So thank you so much for being willing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You are welcome. I say it's not all about me. It's about helping others. And I'm beyond thankful that my case has helped so many people. I know some time ago, Keith Finley had thrown out a number of over 30 people that it had helped in just a couple years. And
It's amazing.
I hope that continues. It's
Yeah,
not,
yes.
wasn't fun at all, but there's a greater purpose. And I'm very, very glad that it is helping others, because I don't want anybody to go through what I went through, or their family.
And it's the thing that when I look at what we've all been through, to be able to, what I call it, leaning into the pain. If we can lean into that pain sometimes and help others with it, and help, just think about your case. It's been quoted in case law to help other people's case. Andrew's case, Andrew Rourke's case here, is the reason Robert got his last day of execution. They quoted ex parte Rourke in the decision because of the relief Andrew got. So it's like we see this happening, and we go, it kind of, at least it's like, it was horrible, it should have never happened, but the greater good, that is the good that's coming out of a bad thing, sometimes it's what we hold on to, and
we just went to the Innocence conference in Chicago. We just came back, and it just, like you said, it just keeps growing and growing. All of our cases are pretty similar, and we've all experienced something horrific, and and I think it's a call from God for us to, push this and help others. And this is our way of helping other people that are in the same situation.
That's exactly right. I said, yes, it hurts. To me, it's a scar that fades, but it never goes away. Yeah. And then when I talk about it, it hurts, but I want to bring awareness, and I want to help others.
Yeah.
And life goes on. Both of you know that. It's not easy, but gosh, I used to tell people when they visited me, just be thankful when you leave prison, you can decide to turn left or right at a stop sign, because you have so many things taken away from you. And I used to say over and over again, be thankful when you sit in rush hour traffic. Well, let me tell you guys, I'm there a lot. And that little voice in my head says, at least you're not going back to that awful place,
Right.
And so I need to keep perspective.
We all,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and life has moved on. My children are well. I have 2 that are married. I have 4 grandchildren.
Awesome.
I have a wonderful man in my life. We've been together for 9 years, and we're going to get married in August.
Wow.
I can't believe
Congratulations.
at this age I'm getting married.
Congratulations.
It's really
It's just a
fun,
number.
you
Age is
guys.
just a number.
So,
Yeah.
But I just want people to know whatever dark valleys they go through in life, it can be better.
Yeah.
You work hard. Don't give up. Don't let people define you. The car's front window is bigger than the rearview mirror for a good reason, and so is life. Keep looking forward. Keep hope. Some days there are little things that are very disturbing, but don't let it destroy you.
Unshaken Truth's first season will drop new episodes on most Thursdays and will be available on YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. Links to episodes and other materials are available on the show's website at unshakentruth.com. Listeners can contact us through the Justice Corner on our website, named after my dog Justice.